that Argentinian GOAT Leo Messi arriving in Inter Miami. I mean, he became the first Florida man to win the Ballon d'Or.
I mean, Messi was must-watch TV. His rise has been the whole league's rise. And so, would we like to have him on our team? You damn right. Hey, Lionel, you ever been to Austin? Come on, babe. Come swing by.
Lionel, Willie Nelson, and you.
Lionel, Willie, and McConaughey. How about that trifecta? Huh? Let's get messy with that.
It's a joy to see my next guest returning face. A soulful and talented gent who fortunately second-guessed the childhood dream of becoming a defence attorney, instead devoting himself to endeavours artistique, becoming, simply put, one of the most iconic and singular actors of his generation, from his unforgettable debut in Dazed and Confused via a short spell as the Messi of rom-coms in the early aughts. The world began to live in this period of reconnaissance, which saw my guest win an Oscar for Best Actor, become a two-time New York Times best-selling author, and just general purveyor of life truths, establishing himself not only as owner of MLS club Austin FC, but also its eternal minister of culture. It is wonderful to welcome back one of my favourite repeat guests, the rightful winner of the 1977 Little Mr. Texas contest. It's Matthew McConaughey.
Raj, your introductions, I have them as my ringtones, my alarm clock. It's wonderful. I just have it's ambiance around my house.
You can release them as your next memoir because it's all true and it is so bloody good to see you. What I love about you is your endless optimism, a scarce resource in our all too chaotic times. You once wrote something I adore that, quote, "I have a lot of proof that the world is conspiring to make me happy." Matthew, I'm an Everton fan. I don't know of what you're speaking. Tell me, what are you experiencing that brings you so much joy? How do you do it?
Ooh. Well, look, I think that optimism is actually realism. I think it's survival. I'm not an optimist because I'm like, hey, let's all sign a Hallmark card and have a pep rally. Woo-hoo. No, that's a bunch of bullshit. True optimism is realism, and it's for survival, meaning for the stuff that we cannot do anything about in the world. Oh, man, if we got a kid has to do their homework, you got to go do some work. You know you got to do it. So do it with pleasure.
We are talking just before the start of Austin FC's fourth season in Major League Soccer. I've got to say, number one, I have been to your city. I have met your fans. I have savoured the culture that has developed so deep, so fast, so real. We've actually got the league's longest active sellout streak, capacity crowds filling the Q2 stadium. I think for all of the 53 regular season playoff games that it's hosted. Here's what I want to know, Matthew, what is the secret? How has this team, your team, developed such a profound connection with the city of Austin in such a short amount of time?
You know, for years, the only game in town in Austin, Texas, was University of Texas, where I graduated. That was the only game in town. There was no pro team on purpose, nor was one needed. Well, Austin's more than a university music banker town now. It's become a tech town, an international destination, a melting pot. There's all kinds of passports and flags bearing all across Austin. Most of those people didn't go to the University of Texas. Well, what's the game? What's the world's game? Soccer. The other football, the round football. So it was the right city, the right game at the right time. Soccer brings people together from all over the world better than any other game. Austin is a little microcosm of the world. So on any given night, you can go and have our 21,000 fans at Q2 and all those sellouts, and you take a snapshot of the south end of that supporters group, and it looks like a pastiche of Austin. It looks worldwide. It's multicultural. There's a 4-year-old, there's grandmothers. It's good, rowdy football fun.
It's a reflection of our nation in a tiny, tiny, joyous petri dish. But in addition to being co-owner of the club, you've also been Austin FC's Minister of Culture right from the start. You were there when they broke ground on the stadium. You've been a regular at their games. You've rolled up there in your quite sharply tailored green and black suit, of which I'm a little jealous, looking pretty much like the Riddler after a juice cleanse. And you lead the supporters in the chant of Verde Listos, which has become the heartbeat of Austin FC. And Matthew, I know from reading your book that the heartfelt, the beautiful green lights, that you're a gent who can draw life lessons from pretty well all of your experiences. What have you learned about your city and about yourself in the past 3 years with this club?
We set out to make this the city of Austin's team first. How does this team represent the city of Austin? So the mirror of the team was we went into Austin, into Austinites, whether it was a pitmaster, whether it was the lady who makes the best coffee or the best barbecue or a politician or a musician. And we were like, "Ooh, you're Verde." And they're like, "I'm Verde." You're like, "Listos?" So we inverted the mirror to say the city came back and goes, "I'm Verde. I'm Austin FC." And we're still doing that. This year with the Armadillo headquarters is a callback to the DNA of Austin as a come-as-you-are city. The reason I went to University of Texas, I wanted to go to SMU to go to law school. My dad couldn't afford it. Wanted me to go to University of Texas. I didn't want to go for some reason. My brother Pat calls me. He goes, "Hey, buddy, you ever been to Austin?" I was like, "No." He goes, "It's your kind of town." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You walk in a bar in Austin. You sit down. You could have the sheriff to the right of you, a hippie on the other side of the sheriff, and everyone's having a beer together, having a great time." I was like, "Well, that sounds cool." That's the South End Zone. That's the 21,000 strong in that stadium every night, coming together from wherever you come from for this game on the pitch.
And you mentioned the Armadillo World Headquarters, one of the great venues that made your city the live music capital of the world. It is amazing. The place opened its doors in 1970. This venue welcomed a list of timeless legends and future icons, from Willie Nelson and Ray Charles to Springsteen and the Ramones, before it closed its doors just a decade later. And I love that your jersey for Austin FC, the one I've seen, commemorates the city's status as the live music capital of the world by paying tribute to that venue. But it is fascinating, that layering of culture onto the club, and then the club becoming an active part of that organic culture itself. I mean, that's what's necessary, right? So that one borrows from the other and then it refracts back.
There's synergy. They have to live off each other. Then you have real engagement. Then you have real sense of ownership from the fans, from the city. That relationship between the club, the players, and the city of Austin, and the recognizing, like with Armadillo headquarters, that we've come in on the shoulders of giants that represent this special place on the planet, Austin, Texas. We coming in on the shoulders of them. Even I'm coming in on the shoulders of them. As MOC, I'm coming in on people that came long before me. And there will be more. But as we move forward, and is Austin different than it was in 1970, 1980? Absolutely. But the DNA of Austin, we're going to maintain that. That the music of that city is one that says, "Come one, come all. We can all join here for this." That music is the game on the pitch on any given night in Q2. That's the same song that we're all singing tonight.
Let's talk matters big in terms of football, Matthew. When you first made the mistake of being our guest on this show just over 4 years ago, you said, how big do you believe football can come in America?
We're in the 5 spot now, meaning you've got American football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer. I believe that quite soon that soccer can move its way up to the 3 spot.
We've seen some remarkable things in this sport since then. The women's game continued its growth and development. That Argentinian GOAT, Leo Messi, arriving in Inter Miami. I mean, he became the first Florida man to win the Ballon d'Or. And the United States will welcome the likes of Argentina and Brazil to the Copa America this summer before rolling out our stonewashed denim welcome mats as co-hosts of the 2026 World Cup. Matthew, what have you made of the past 4 years? Are we in that number 3 spot now, or are we at least a strong 4?
As a fan, as an owner, we have to watch what bubble are we living in. Does it feel like we're in the 3 hole? Yes. Yes, it does. But on an overall scale, do the numbers say we're in the 3 hole? I don't believe they do yet. Will we be in the 3 hole? I do strongly believe that. And the Messi effect coming over. I mean, Messi was must-watch TV. And that brought even intermediate fans who weren't even watching MLS going, I know Messi. Let me go see what this guy does. Let me see this guy play his instrument.
I mean, not just play, but shop in our public supermarkets, wear his jorts on our beaches. Do this to world football what Daniel Day-Lewis is to the Oscars, right? I mean, you feel that massive.
100%. His rise has been the whole league's rise. And so, would we like to have him on our team? You're damn right. Hey, Lionel, we've been to Austin. Come on, babe. Come swing by.
Lionel, Willie Nelson, and you.
Lionel, Willie, and McConaughey. How about that trifecta? Huh? Let's get messy with that. But the whole league has risen. The game of football has risen. Now you have the biggest and the best stage tournament, World Cup coming. You talked about the Copa coming. This is going to bring the game of soccer to North America in a way that real fans are going to just salivate about, and intermediate fans are going to come away becoming real fans.
Last time I saw you, it was the World Cup 2022. The US were playing the English. You and I, obviously both cheering for our beloved United States men. I need more. How confident? Up. We did okay in the World Cup. We've got into the first knockout round where we wilted again. We've got a lot of young talent. We always seem to be the team of tomorrow, Matthew.
Yeah.
How do you see us right now? We are still like very beloved indie film directors who are hoping to be the next Greta Gerwig.
True. Look, I don't know. I'm confused trying to figure it out myself. Because if what's the unsaid song and poetry of soccer that maybe we don't understand yet? Because we know the notes. We know every note to the great song. But notes on their own are not music. Notes put together are music. So we know the notes. I just don't think we have the poetry yet. Get knowledge. Make it philosophy. Turn the philosophy to poetry. Turn the poetry into music. Then you're flying, baby.
We don't understand the silences in between the notes. We don't understand the poetry. I think you may have hit something here, because I often think about the United States men when I watch you with your other long-time love, the University of Texas, the home of your beloved Longhorns, number 3 ranked Texas. Don't like to bring up bad memories, so I'll say this quickly. They finished its football season, its American football season, with a hard-fought loss, 37-31 in the Sugar Bowl to the then undefeated Washington Huskies. I was rooting for you, Matthew, on New Year's Day. I loved watching you during the game in constant motion on the sidelines where you hyped up the Texas players. Matthew, I do need to know what you're doing mid-July, because the US men's national team, they may need you if they get to the final of the Copa America in Miami. Imagine if they're going to play Lionel Messi there in his hometown. If you were invited into the locker room to gas up our boys, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, can you give us a taste of what you're telling them before they run onto the pitch for that final?
America in that position is not going to need to be pumped up. They understand the situation. If anything, it's about poise. If a team comes in overly pumped up and the defense overcommits early and the opposing team scores the first goal, so a lot of it's about poise and having a game plan. But as you know, any game plan you go in there, you're immediately having to call audibles. That becomes that in between the note poetry we're talking about. And that you cannot teach on paper. It is not a science, it's an art that way.
I've heard enough to know that I am listening to the man who I want to be the next manager of the US men's national team. But I want to talk about one of the players, Christian Pulisic, who I just mentioned. Your book, Green Lights, is jam-packed with wisdom. And in a section of the book called Find Your Frequency, you wrote, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am, but rather I know who I'm not, before adding, eliminate who we're not first, and we'll find ourselves where we need to be. Obviously, I assumed, as I think everybody did when they read it, this was a reference to Pulisic, a gent I know you've met. Since we last spoke, last July, he moved to AC Milan. Since arriving in Italy, he has thrived. 7 goals, 6 assists in all competitions. He's flying again. Most Serie A goals ever by an American player in our nation's history. Matthew, is this one of those human truths that Christian had to experience who he was not and what didn't work in order to land on what did and who he really was?
Well, it seems so far. But I'll also say this. We have to get rid of this, the expectations on me are so high. I'm under the weight of the That's fairy dust. Yes, do you play for country? Yes, do you play for your team, your teammate, the name on on the jersey? At the end of the day, you have to be playing an immortal game that is going like, no one's got. I have an expectation as a sovereign individual, human, and my ability that I'm going to an immortal finish line that no one else's expectation is weighed on me. I'm going to the other side. The Bo Jackson. I'm not getting nervous choking on the 2-yard line to win the game if I get the ball, because I'm crossing the goal line and I'm running through the freaking tunnel. We'll go further. So you have an immortal finish line. The world's expectations are like, okay. I'm working on my own.
Do you listen to different music, different artists when you're playing a particular character? You know, like
Yes.
Detective Russ Cole or stockbroker / cocaine enthusiast Mark Hanna or entrepreneurial koala Buster Moon. Different music for each of them.
Yes, and there's different songs for every scene. I have a different song for every scene, whether it's an inspiration from an artist or it's my own beat, a la like a Wolf of Wall Street. That was the rhythm for Mark Hanna in that scene. I put playlists together for every character. I'm about to go do a role in the summer, and it's in the summer, but my character's singing a lot of sad country songs.
What was Russ Cole?
Rustin Cole, all right. Now, Rustin Cole, a lot of Rustin Cole's music I gave and actually to T-Bone.
T-Bone Burnett.
And is in there. The opening over the titles, that's the Hanson family. I turned them on to that. We were joking about this the other day. He was like, yeah, they're like, we love that title music. And he was like, yeah, I didn't pick that. That's McConaughey.
Very quickly, Mark Hanna.
Look, when I read, as I've talked to you about before, every character I look for a launch pad line. Wooderson's launch pad line was, that's what I love about those high school girls, man. I get older, but they stayed the same age. You get a line like that and you go, whoa, who's that dude? If you just unpack that philosophy, there's a book. Well, Mark Hanna, one of the things that was written in the script that was wild and hilarious that I said, that's the launch pad line, is when Leonardo's character says, so what's the secret of this business? And he goes, cocaine and hookers. And I was like, what if this guy's not trying to be funny? What if this guy's like, no, I'm serious. That's the secret. Let's unpack that guy. Where is he? He tells you a lot about what he thinks about everything else in the world, which led to a lot of the riffs that I went on, which led to 5 martinis at lunch. Here we go. Keep it. We're flight. Never land. Make sure you keep the bass. Get rid of that treble. Too much tacit. Don't want those tonsils getting pinchy. Come on. How many times you work it out today? Huh? Oh, those are rookie numbers. Come on. Keep it moving. Keep it flowing.
But last question, Matthew McConaughey, this is remarkable to me. September 1992, you just finished shooting your first ever acting role in Dazed and Confused, and you made a list of your 10 goals in life, which I love. I think list making, goals, really bloody important. Yours included your eternal motto, just keep living, which, by the way, I've come to love more and more post-pandemic. I've thought about you, Matthew McConaughey, a lot when you used to say to me, it's better than the other option. Your life truth there, 100%. I've thought about it every day. Your other was win a Best Actor Oscar, which you did for Dallas Buyers Club. But the first thing on your list was become a father, which you said is truly the only thing you'd ever wanted from your life. You're now a father of 3. What's your goal now, Matthew?
Great question, and I've been working on this. New Year's comes around, you think about New Year's resolutions, and I really felt like what kept coming in my mind about what I need more of, what I want more of, is more courage, more bravery, to take more risk, of which a lot of people would say, that's your greatest strength, McConaughey. Boy, your brand is risk. You take all kinds of risks. Well, we all know our greatest strength is usually our greatest weakness, what we need to work on anyway. Like, let's work on being great at what we're good at instead of good at what we suck at, right? So where I am now is, for me, I don't need any new bright ideas. I don't need to put the blinkers on when I'm changing lanes. I've built a life at 54 years that has a lot of value to me. It's got some deep roots, family, career, spirit. And so I want the bravery and the courage to realize and embrace in all the ways of my life where I've got it really damn good. And give those more credence. Water those plants even more. Nurture those. Prune them so they can grow even thicker. So the field goes higher and wider. So it's about appreciating. Most midlife crises that people have, they're very good, I think, because it's a man or a woman or person challenging themselves, going, oh, I haven't done what's worthy and I want to do what's more worthy. But 50%, I believe, of the challenge of a midlife crisis is when we are not giving enough respect to what we actually already have done. And we need to give them more respect and go, hey, if you appreciate something you've done in a total way, in the right way, a thorough way, that's connected to where you're going in the future. Don't come up with a new bright idea and disband it. Just give it more appreciation and respect.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey, to you, to your club. I can't wait to come down to Austin and watch a game with you this season. Huge, huge love and thanks.
Let's 100% do it, Raj. Always a pleasure talking to you. Keep shining bright, bud.
You're amazing, man. Courage.